Welcome, everyone. I'm Michele Cobb, publisher of AudioFile magazine, the #1 source for audiobook reviews in the world. Today, we're here with 9-time Audie winner January LaVoy to talk about her role in narrating Sharp Force by Patricia Cornwell, which is the latest in the Kay Scarpetta saga. And we've been fortunate enough to chat with January before. She was inducted an AudioFile Golden Voice in 2019, and her narration of Even Though I Knew in the End by C.L. Polk landed on AudioFile's Best of Science Fiction Fantasy list in 2022. So between Audie nominations, Earphones Awards, and the Best of lists, listeners can easily recognize January's wonderful performances. Welcome, January.
Thanks, Michele. It's great to talk to you.
Well, I'm truly excited because this is one of my favorite characters, forensic pathologist Dr. Kay Scarpetta. And this is the 29th in the series and the 4th book that you have narrated. So can you give anyone who doesn't know the series kind of a summary of Sharp Force and anything we should know, things to kind of entice people to hear it?
Well, if you don't know the series, most people, of course, have heard of Patricia Cornwell. She's one of the best-selling authors in the world. And most people, I think, at this point have probably even heard of Kay Scarpetta, right? Because the character is such a force in literature. And there's a television show being made currently, I believe, I think with Nicole Kidman or something. But so Kay Scarpetta is this incredibly brilliant chief medical examiner for the state of Virginia at this point.
Yes, she's done lots of things.
There's been lots of things, but at this 29 books in, she is the chief medical examiner for the state of Virginia. And her family is very much staffed in the government and various aspects of intelligence and secret service and all kinds of things. And so not only are you getting sort of the forensic pathologist perspective with our protagonist, but also a lot of like high level espionage, military, there's a lot of different kind of threads that are woven together. So that's kind of the series. And then Sharp Force, I think, has one of the creepiest protagonists of any, or antagonists rather, of any of her books. The baddie is super creepy. And I don't want to say too much, but it's a combination, like a nightmare combination of tech, like very high tech, AI, and murder.
Nice.
So all of our nightmares at once. It's really, she's a great writer. It's an incredible series. There's a reason it's so popular.
Well, I would call her an enduring character. So
yes,
I'm curious. You've only done 4 of the books, but how do you keep her voice consistent and yet evolve with all the different protagonists and the different situations and time?
It's an interesting question. People ask me this a lot about, when you're doing a series, because I have a few series that I've been doing for years, and keeping voices consistent. And one thing that I say sort of from an actor narrator kind of craft perspective is like, I'm not really thinking about keeping it consistent because people grow and change. Like I locate her in a certain place in my body, but she's growing and changing. I'm growing and changing. And ideally, I'm becoming a better narrator with every book that I do. So you wouldn't want me to be the narrator I was last year when I was doing Kay Scarpetta, or the year before when I was doing Kay Scarpetta. So I like to think of myself being embodied by the characters' actions and the events around them. On a very purely technical level, I tend to keep the protagonist's voice the closest to my natural speaking voice so I don't have to think too hard about it. With these books, though, and I realized this after the first one that I did, this is one of the only series where I really keep very specific sound files, character files for each character, because they are so specific. There are a lot of people, even just in her office, who have different accents or from different places. And so I just want to make sure I'm really nailing those little differences with them. But Kay is so cerebral, so intelligent, so precise that that's where I locate her. Like I think about the kind of person she is and how her brain works. And that's kind of how I get into being her.
Well, I like that. And you sort of challenge the listener. It was very much touche. The character changes, I change. That is spot on. It's the greatest answer.
Thanks.
So, this particular book involves that cutting edge science and the kind of high stakes investigation. So, tell us about how you deal with the technical passages while you're trying to keep the pace up, keep it thrilling.
There's a counterintuitive thing to narration, which is this is true with other like any kind of like thrillers that you might be doing. There's a tendency when the stakes are very high to think of going fast. But the reality is, oftentimes you're creating more suspense if you're taking your
Ah,
time and explaining the thing, because people are kind of feeling like, uh-oh, what's going to happen? And so the first time, I remember very specifically the first time I had to narrate a Kay Scarpetta autopsy.
yes.
It's very graphic, very scientific. And so, kind of getting in a place to be comfortable with those images is really the thing for me. So, when I'm prepping the book, I have to make sure that I've made myself comfortable with the experience. I mean, sometimes she'll talk about a smell,
Yeah. Oh, yes.
or the very, the minutiae of the saw and how it went into the bone or the muscle. And it's really
I
intense.
like
It's
that stuff.
really,
Yeah.
I can tell. It's very intense. And so it is incumbent on me to make sure that there are no surprises when I'm narrating. And I've really allowed myself to kind of go there when I'm prepping the book on my own, so that I'm not squeamish or surprised or upset in any way by what I'm reading. But yeah, it's a task that I really these books are unique in that way.
Now, was there a theme that especially resonated with you while you were narrating Sharp Force in particular?
So I wrote down. I was like, what are the things in Sharp Force that stayed with me? So these are there's like a little word cloud. Okay, so backstory. I'll come back to that. Hologram, murderer, island asylum, hospital, and happy holidays because it takes place in the holiday. So, but the big one there, I think, is backstory. And one of the things that you get in this book that I don't think we've had, certainly not in my time narrating these books, is that through a confluence of circumstances, you end up with a very deep dive into the backstory of Lucy and Kay's relationship and sort of how they got to where they are now. And that was really new news to me. And Benton to a certain extent. So that's for the really the deep Kay Scarpetta fans out there. I think this could be a little bit revelatory.
Well, I know I'm excited to listen to it. It's in my queue.
Good. It's really good.
Now, Patricia Cornwell's research is absolutely legendary. So, did you come across any details that surprised you or made you think maybe differently about forensic science?
I mean, I think it is just generally, I think it's stunning what people who know what they're doing can glean from something like that. Like it's similar to me as to a like a fire marshal, and they come into a burnt building and they can pinpoint where it started, how it started, what the accelerant was. She does that for bodies
Yes.
and heavily often. There's not giving anything away because I feel like this happens in almost every book, but this one has a particularly heavily decomposed body at one point.
Oh, yeah.
I just can't get over how much they can get from a heavily decomposed body that's been in the water for like days. So that was a surprise to me when I started narrating these books. And I do think that she really manages to walk the line between like, I really would have to be a professional person to be able to bear hearing the details of it. Like she hits it just on the line, where she gives you more than you would ever have access to as a civilian, but not so much that you maybe can't have dinner.
Yes, I like a book where I cannot eat dinner afterwards. That's for me. Now, you don't have to reveal this if you don't want to, but it turns out you have a bit of a personal connection to this character.
I do. So my husband, narrator Will Dameron, is from the part of Virginia where these books take place. And so I've spent a fair bit of time in that part of Virginia, and also the parts of it. So parts of it take place are kind of around Newport News, and then parts of it take place in Old Town Alexandria. And he has family there as well. And he actually went to school in Alexandria. So I have very specific, like she'll be like, oh, King Street or this. And I'm like, I know exactly where that is. So it kind of gives me the shivers sometimes, because then I'll go to Virginia and I'll be in these places and I'll be like, this is where someone was murdered. And then I'm like, no, that didn't happen. I mean, maybe it is, but not the way I'm thinking of it. But it's kind of cool because I really have these incredibly sick sometimes, because they do a lot in the chopper, that major military helicopter that Lucy flies.
Yes.
Getting into this for the fans, but they fly often right over the area where Will is from. So they're like, and they're crossing over that river and they're going past that. And I'm like, I know exactly where this is. This is so cool. And it's particularly nice as a narrator to be able to walk into the next room and ask someone who's from a place how you say the names of the towns, because they're very specific regionally. So yeah, I that's another reason that I was really psyched to get to do this series.
Well, we're so excited that you came and talked to us about
Thanks
it.
for asking.
Thank you for joining us.
Always my pleasure. Thank you so much.
And I'm really happy because I love this series, and getting to chat with the person who is intimately involved in it makes me feel like I'm closer to the series as well.
Aw, thanks, Michelle.
And thank you to Hachette for helping us create this episode. We encourage everyone to visit AudioFile's website for reviews and sound clips from thousands of audiobooks, including Sharp Force by Patricia Cornwell, narrated by the very talented January LaVoy. Thanks for listening, everyone.